Everyone to episode 6 of The Windy City Kid with yours truly, the Windy City Kid himself, Ricky Orozco. As you guys can see from my hat, the Pittsburgh Pirates are the team of the week, in my books at least. For the first time since 1997, at the All-Star break, the Pirates are in first place in their division. They lead by a one-game lead in the National League Central Division. Speaking of the Pirates, tonight Andrew McCutchen of the Pittsburgh Pirates has a chance to win the Home Run Derby. He will be teaming up with Carlos Gonzalez of the Rockies, Carlos Beltran of the St. Louis Cardinals, and Matt Kemp of the LA Dodgers, who is also the team captain, by the way. For the American League, we have the team captain of Robinson Cano, and on his team, we have Jose Bautista of the Toronto Blue Jays, Mark Trumbo of the Anaheim Angels, and Prince Fielder of the Detroit Tigers. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is the Home Run Derby at 7 o'clock Central on ESPN. Speaking of the All-Star break, tomorrow is the 83rd Major League Baseball All-Star Game. It's going to be live from Kansas City at 7 o'clock Central Time. The announcers for both the American League and the National League have been announced. The starting pitcher for the American League will be Justin Verlander of the Detroit Tigers. Verlander has an ERA of 2.58 this season and a record of 9-5 with 128 strikeouts. Very impressive for the reigning AL MVP and AL Cy Young. He will be going up against Matt Cain of the San Francisco Giants. Matt Cain has very similar numbers. Matt Cain's ERA is 2.62 with a record of 9-3 and 118 strikeouts. Matt Cain also recorded a perfect game not too long ago. And speaking of baseball, let's go up with the quick recap of the first half. In first place in the American League, we have the New York Yankees taking over first place in the East with a 7-game lead over the Baltimore Orioles. In the AL Central are my Chicago White Sox with a 3-game lead over the Cleveland Indians. And surprise, the Texas Rangers with a 4-game lead over the LA Angels. In the National League, for the first time since 1994, the Washington Nationals could be making history. They are in first place in the NL East. The last time they won that division was in 1994. Pittsburgh Pirates, like I announced earlier, they are in first place in the NL Central for the first time since 1997 and are making a run for the playoffs for the first time since 1992. Also in first place are the LA Dodgers in the NL West. In basketball news, it was just reported that the Cleveland Cavaliers are possibly the third team to enter to enter trade talks with the Brooklyn Nets and the Orlando Magic. Obviously, the Magic and the Nets are trying to work out a deal for Dwight Howard, but they needed a third team involved. The Cleveland Cavaliers are possibly that team. Players that could be involved in the deal would include Chris Humphries, who could be dealt over to the Cleveland Cavaliers along with Marshawn Brooks. Obviously, Dwight Howard would be going to the Nets, and Brook Lopez would be going to the Magic. Nothing's official, just talks right now, but those possibly are the three teams with some of the players involved in the trade. Also announced today, the Indiana Pacers will match the offer the Portland Trail Blazers made to center and 7-foot-tall Roy Hibbert. Roy Hibbert will be getting a contract from the Indiana Pacers of 4 years, $58 million contract. Speaking of big men, the New Orleans Hornets have gotten 6'10" forward of the Orlando Magic, Ryan Howard, in a sign-and-trade deal that would send Gustavo Ayón, the Mexican center, who's 6'10" also, to the Orlando Magic in return for Ryan Howard. Gustavo Ayón last season averaged 5.9 points per game with 4.9 rebounds. He dealt it over to Orlando in return for Anderson, who was averaging 16.1 and 7.7 rebounds per game. Good upgrade for the New Orleans Hornets, who also have Anthony Davis. Still in basketball news, Kirk Hinrich has agreed to come back to Chicago. Kirk Hinrich and the Bulls agreed on a 2-year contract, which is expected to be around $3 million a year. Kirk Hinrich was drafted by the Chicago Bulls in 2003 in the first round and spent 7 seasons with the Chicago Bulls. He will be making his comeback. Speaking of guards, Ray Allen of the Boston Celtics, 36-year-old Ray Allen, has signed for an agreement with the Miami Heat, the defending champions. Ray Allen spent some time with Milwaukee and Seattle, and most recently in Boston from 2007 to 2012, which was last season, and won a championship in 2008. The three-point man will be a huge upgrade in Miami. Speaking of older veteran players, Steve Nash, the 38-year-old point guard, is going to LA, has agreed to a 3-year, $27 million contract. Just remember, folks, all these contracts have been agreed, but cannot be official until about another week. In some MMA news, this past Saturday was UFC 128, live from Las Vegas. In some quick results, Forrest Griffin defeated Tito Ortiz by unanimous decision in 3 rounds. And the main event saw Anderson Spider Silva defeat Sonner by TKO in the 2nd round. Great pay-per-view all around. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you today. Join me next Monday for another update and another episode of The Windy City Kid. Don't forget to watch the All-Star Game tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game tomorrow. Peace out.